Hello, crafty friends. It's Jessica here, and welcome back to Jessie Kate Creates. Today I have a fun little project share for you guys for some teacher appreciation cards. I have 3 cards that I am going to share. These are teacher appreciation themed. I know Teacher Appreciation Week has already passed, but I think it is always a good time to appreciate teachers because they do so much for all of us, and it's a tough job. So the inspiration for these cards is this school time paper pad from Die Cuts with a View. I picked this up at my local Joann's recently during their going out of business sales that they've been having over the last couple of weeks, and the papers in here are really cute, so I wanted to create with them. For the first card I made, I kept it kind of simple. The focal point of this card really is the sentiment. It says, "Teaching is heart work. Thank you for being my teacher." This was floating around on my desk. It's been floating around on my desk for quite a long time now. I believe it's a block stamp, a wooden block stamp that I picked up from Michael's probably over 5 years ago. But I thought it was just a cute sentiment. So it is white embossed on some vellum. And then I took a layer of patterned paper that had these little apples on it that I thought was super cute. And I believe I cut it down to be 3.5 by 4 3/4. And then I just took another piece of patterned paper that had all these cute little, the alphabet on it in like a typewriter font. And I just cut that to 4 1/4 by 5.5 for the background. I looked through my stash of stickers and I just found a pencil and I thought that worked. I also in my stash found some cute little gold stars, so I put those on there too. For the inside, I stamped a sentiment. I used some of the apple pattern paper just to make a banner, and I also stamped the sentiment, "Thank you so much for all your help." And that is from a stamp set from the Greetery. This is their Sentiment Suite. Thank you. I love their Sentiment Suite stamp sets. I'm pretty sure I've used this one before to make mini thank you cards for teachers. I will go ahead and link that video up here for you to check out. For the inside sentiment, I mixed 2 different sentiments from the set, and I think that worked out really well for a fun little sentiment for the inside of the card. So that is card number 1. I'm going to set that to the side. Now card number 2, it's basically 2 of the same card, but I loved it so much I had to make it twice. So these are the cards. These are both flat shakers. So you can see I have little shaker bits that move around in here. So the main part of this card is this shaker panel. I will link to a video up here I've done in the past where I explain the process in detail for how to make a flat shaker card. Hey friends, so originally this video was going to be a project share, but while I was editing it, I was like, I could show people how to make the basics of this card. So we're going to do a quick little mini tutorial, I guess, on this card. Now, I don't think we're going to add the sentiments today, but that's okay. I want to really just show you how to make the shaker portion of this card. So remember, this is an A2 card. Here I have an A2 card base that I made out of poppy cardstock from Spellbinders. So this is 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored in the middle at 4 1/4, and that gives me an A2 sized side folding card base. Okay, I'm going to set that out of the way. I went back through that school time paper pad and I pulled out 2 sheets of scrap paper. I also went ahead and pulled out a piece of packaging. For me to make my flat shaker cards, I know different shops will sell flat shaker pouches and whatnot. I just make my own out of leftover packaging. So there was probably a stamp set or some stickers or something like this in here. I keep a lot of my used packaging. One thing I will note is you want packaging that doesn't have a lot of dents in it. So if it's packaging that has been like folded up and now it's kind of like it has a bunch of dents and dings and holes, you don't want that. You want a piece like this where it's, you know, as soon as I took the item out of it, I put it into my little stash of packaging. You also want some packaging that's a little bit on the thicker side. You don't want to use the super thin stuff. So that's what we're using here. I'm going to start by taking the main part of our card. This is what we're going to use to make a shaker panel, and I'm going to cut it down. You can make it whatever size you want this to be. I'm going to make it, I want it to be 4 3/4, but I'm gonna scooch this up so I can trim off a little bit of this black at the top. So I'm gonna cut this down to be 4 3/4. I'm gonna turn this to the side and cut this down. I want to take 3/4 of an inch off. So 3.5. There we go. This is gonna give me a super wide mat, which is nice because I'll still have space to add. Actually, let's go ahead and cut this down too. I want this mat to be 1/4 inch all the way around. So I want this to be 4 by 5. I think that's right. I cut something. Oh, I wanted this to be 5 1/4. This will have the doodles on it, but I think that's okay. I think that's okay. No, it's not, because the hole is there. Ugh. I don't want to cut this down any further. Problem solving in real time. So I'm going to go find a different piece of scrap paper. Okay. Now I need to cut this down to be the correct size. I'm going to cut this down to 4 and trim this down to 5 1/4. There we go. That looks better. Boom. So that is how those pieces are going to mat. Very cute. So now let's make this into a shaker pouch. We need to cut down our piece of packaging, and I want to try to make sure I have at least 1/4 of an inch on either side. I also personally, when I cut stuff down, I like to cut above where the little sticky is, because sometimes that can leave a mark. Also, sometimes packaging will have these weird holes in it randomly, like this piece of packaging. I'm not using this one because I don't think the camera's picking it up, but it has a lot of like dents and divots. But also there's this hole, just this random hole in the packaging. It came like this. And so just be sure you avoid things like that. You could still use this. You just want to make sure that you cut your packaging from an area that doesn't have those imperfections. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this just at where the sticky is. And then I don't need exact measurements. I just need rough, like, that's about right. Just make sure I have enough space to fold everything over comfortably. So I'm going to say there, cut that down. Now I've cut off the top and bottom, but as you can see, the sides are still attached. So now I'm going to take a pair of scissors to cut each side at the seam so that I'll have 2 separate sheets. You could use your paper trimmer to do this. I just find it's easier to grab a pair of scissors and do that instead. Also, thank you guys so much for bearing with me throughout this video. I thought about cutting out all of my mistakes and mishaps to make this video a little bit faster and more streamlined. But I don't know, when I was editing, it just felt important to leave them in and show what crafting can really be like sometimes. So now we could actually make 2 shaker pouches, but we're just going to make 1 today. So now, I don't know if you guys can see. I'm trying to tilt this so you can see. You see that I have roughly 1/4 to 1/2 inch of space all around my packaging. So the next thing I'm going to do is take some double-sided adhesive. And I'm going to apply this to all 4 edges of my pattern paper. I am only putting this on the pattern paper right now. I am not putting anything onto my plastic sheet. You can use whatever tape you have in your stash, although I generally prefer the scrapbook.com adhesive. I'm out of that right now, so this is just some random tape that I picked up at my local craft store. The only thing I will say, you want to use dry adhesive for this. You don't want to use glue. It's going to be a mess. It's going to take forever to set, so just use whatever dry adhesive you have in your stash. Okay, So now we've put adhesive around all 4 edges. And now we're going to fold over the edges one at a time. You can do this however you want to do it. I like to start with the bottom. And this first fold, I'm going to fold it tight. There we go. Turn this to the side. Peel off my next strip. Now, let me put a piece of paper back here so hopefully you can see this a little better. Before I fold this, I'm going to take this corner, and I know this is so hard to see. I'm folding the flap over to make like a little triangle, like that, and scoring that. Do you see that? Now you could cut to take out some of the bulk. I used to cut to take out some of the bulk, but lately I've just been doing this. And now I'm going to pull this side tight. Now this might pop up. It's okay because we're going to put a second round of tape all over it. I'm going to pull that nice and tight. There we go. 2 sides are complete. Now we need to do this third side. So once again, I'm going to pull off the adhesive. I'm going to make my little triangle flap here. This time though, when I fold it over, I'm not going to fold it super tight. I want there to be a little bit of give, not a ton. I just mean you don't need to like make this like stretch it super tight. And you can see here this corner is kind of lifting up, but that's okay because we're going to go back and tape it down. So right now 3 sides have been taped up and we have 1 side that's open. We need to leave this side open so we can fill it with our shaker bits. You can put whatever you want in here. Personally, I like to make shaker cards with flat confetti. I used to use sequins, but I feel like they just don't move around as well. So in all of my shaker cards, whether I'm making them like this or I'm using foam tape, I prefer to use flat shaker bits. So I've went through my collection and I've pulled out the same bits that I used here. Now I've been collecting glitter and confetti for years. So I have a lot of different stuff from a lot of different places. Use whatever it is that you have on hand. If all you have is some regular gold confetti, use that. It'll work out just fine. I happen to have some silver and gold stars, some little bus cutouts, and some little apples. And since this is a teacher appreciation card, that's what we're gonna go with. Now, one thing about these is you don't want to overfill them so that things will shake loosely. So I'm only putting a little bit in here, and a little bit, you don't need a ton. So I'm just also like, I'm pretty sure I got these at Target many years ago. I don't shop at Target anymore because I don't. I'm sure a lot of you can figure out why. But you can buy stuff like this from a lot of different places. I know sometimes throughout the year, Michael's will sell little different like confetti combo packs. And I've gotten a lot of my bits and pieces that way. Online nowadays, you can find so many places that sell stuff too. Okay. So I just put in 5 of each of those pieces. I don't need a ton of those big guys in here. You're going to be able to see them pretty easily. Next, I'm going to sprinkle in some of these tiny little stars. Again, I don't need a ton. That actually might have even been a little bit too much, but it is what it is. A little bit of the silver. Just going to sprinkle that in. Oop, you can see some little star clumps that I just want to break up. Pick all that up and get y'all in there too. Okay. Now, I'm going to peel off this last piece. There we go. And once again, this time on both sides, we're going to fold in the corners. This part can be tricky sometimes. There we go. Now I'm going to fold this one over, but again, I'm not pressing, like I'm not pulling it super tight. and making sure there's a little bit of give. Because if it's super tight, it's not gonna move around. So this is what we're working with. Oh my gosh, so cute. So cute. Okay, so now I need to tape all of these down. Tuck that corner that popped out back under. I'm gonna put my tape right over it so it stays down. Boop, just like that. Here I like to cut so I can get closer to the edge, but you do you. Do whatever works for you. Tape right there. Okay, there we go. Okay. So now we have our shaker pocket ready to go, and you see how it just moves all over in there. So cute. I'm gonna adhere these two pieces together. If you wanted to use wet glue here so you have a little bit more wiggle room, oops, to burnish that. Okay. I'm burnishing the tape down because sometimes if you don't burnish it down, when you peel up the liner, the whole thing pops off, and we don't want that. But you could put a little bit of wet glue over your tape to give you a little bit more wiggle room. And I do that with foam tape all the time. But I'm just not feeling like it today. Quite frankly, I feel like being a little rebel. So I'm gonna do my best. You might not be able to tell, but I just stood up so I can look directly overhead at my project and attempt to get this relatively straight. It's good enough. I don't think it's perfect, but it's good enough for me. Press that down. There we go. And there we have it, a shaker packet. Now, in all honesty, friends, I really don't feel like doing any heat embossing right now. I don't feel like playing with ink right now. I don't want to get like super inky and messy and dirty. So I'm not gonna make the sentiment yet. You can imagine what this final card will eventually look like, but it's not happening today because I'm not gonna heat emboss this sentiment and I'm not gonna stamp out this one. I just don't feel like it right now. But I did want to show you how to make that shaker packet. So, and you could use anything that you wanted for a sentiment on this card. Change out the pattern paper, and this could be a wedding card, it could be a birthday card, it could be a Christmas card. I have a little dish here of some elements that I made but haven't used on cards yet. I was making cards with them and then maybe I just had extras or something like that. So look, this is a little Christmas sentiment. Imagine there's a Christmas paper here and these are candy canes. What a cute Christmas card that would be. Maybe these are flowers on the background. Look, we have this encouragement sentiment. That could go right here. Or maybe turn it to the side and it could go here. That's a cute little card. What else is in this bowl? Have a flower and a little birthday wishes. Maybe the background is balloons. Look at that. Isn't that an adorable little card? Turn it this way, do the same thing. So you see, once you have this technique down, sky's the limit. Whatever, you know, your imagination can think up, or whatever supplies you have on hand, you can create. So there we go. I hope that little mini tutorial on how to make the actual shaker pocket was helpful. So go forth, reuse your packaging, and create some fun shaker cards. Okay, so now I guess we're just gonna jump back into the project share portion of the video. So I made the shaker pocket, and then for the sentiment that says thank you, that is from the Concord and 9th Big On You stamp set. It also has some coordinating dies. This is an old set. I do not know if Concord 9th still has it available because I picked it up some years ago. But you could really use any sentiment on this card, any thank you, whatever you want. I just liked how big and bold this was. So I paired thank you with the thank you sub-sentiment, because again, I don't think we can thank teachers enough for everything that they do. So for the main sentiment, I heat embossed this with some red glitter embossing powder from Recollections. Recollections does not sell that anymore, but I believe WOW has a lot of different glitter embossing powders, so you could try that. And for the sub-sentiment, I just stamped that in a dark green ink. And I was really happy with how that turned out. I did adhere the big thank you directly onto the shaker panel, but I did pop up I don't know if it's picking it up. There you go. You can kind of see I popped up the sub-sentiment so we could get some nice dimension going there. And this is so fun. I love it. I kept the inside blank. I just used a piece of coordinating, the paper that I used for the background. I'm very happy with how that came out. So like I said, I made 2 of the exact same card because I loved it so much. I couldn't get enough of it. So there we go. And I have to say, I love all 3 of these cards, but this one is probably my favorite. It just makes me super happy. But they're all adorable. I love them all. I think they are all so cute. So there are the cards. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video inspires you to get creative, to use the items that you have in your stash to make some cards. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. That helps me so much with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps other people to find me and join our crafty community here. And if you want to see all the videos that I post, then be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so that you get notified every time I post a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in another video soon. Bye!